What's going on, everybody? This is Michael 11 Freedom. You already know we're all about living life without limits. Today, my topic is one that completely changed the way you travel. As you can see, the title of this travel tip today is Travelers versus Tourists. The real difference nobody seems to never talk about. Well, today I'm going to talk about traveling as a traveler versus as a tourist. Because look, anybody can book a flight, snap a few pictures, and post, I'm outside. That's right, like they always posted, we outside on their social media. But real travelers, we don't just visit places, we experience them to live like a local wherever you go. And I'm not talking about live like a local at a poor level. I'm talking about living as a local to enjoy the culture and understand how that country or that culture gets through their life day to day. And we're not, once again, not talking about the people that's living in the hood or at the poverty line. We're talking about people that live a great life, which the areas we visit the good, the bad, and ugly at times. But for the most part, we always stay in great areas, which safety, is number one. Safety is paramount for me. You already know that. You know how I rock. Safety is paramount. That's number one. And today I'm going to go through topics, telling you the different types of strategies that help us get to understand different places that we go to and being looked at as travelers versus being looked at as tourists. And that's what today's topic is really about. So first of all, let's talk about the difference of travelers versus tourists. A tourist visits a country. A traveler becomes part of the country. And in so many ways, what I'm saying, become parts of the country, is that we go out and we enjoy most of the things that the local does on a local level, whether it may be, going to the local markets or taking some local transportation. And not saying that we're going to fit in like a local, but we tend to travel, enjoy some of the nice things that the locals do. And that's part of traveling for us. I know a lot of people, especially the tourists, people that travel as a tourist, they like to stick to their resorts and eat at chain restaurants and follow the crowd. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what we choose to do when we're traveling. And you see, I keep saying the different traveling versus tourists. I'm not saying when we are traveling, we are tourists. I'm saying we're traveling as travelers, and not knocking those who go and stay on resorts or stay within that little compound of the resort and never get out to see really what the local country has to offer. So once again, it's not pointing any fingers or telling anybody how to do their vacation or how to go out and be a tourist, or for those who travel, or how to travel. Everybody travel different. Everybody have their own agenda. So I'm telling you how we travel and what we enjoy traveling, and we try to do it at the most safest way upon traveling. So, for example, like when, my wife and I, we go to places like Vietnam, and Mexico, we don't just stay, in that bubble of the hotel circle or stay at a resort. We get out, we hit the local markets. We have occasionally rode subways, we rode buses. We even indulge in, like in Mexico City, we indulge in street tacos, can't go wrong, and we try to find ourselves trying to learn, a few of the local slang words, so we can communicate and let the locals understand that we're there, enjoying ourselves. And that's when happiness began during our travels, when we tend to mingle with the locals and enjoy some of the places that the locals has to offer. You know, that goes back talking about tourists and travelers, the differences. You know, tourists take pictures of people. Travelers, we take photos with people. You see what I mean? Tourists take pictures of people, and we're travelers, so we take pictures with people. You know, tourists collects souvenirs. As a traveler, we collect stories and memories. We do buy souvenirs from time to time for friends and family that wants a souvenir. We do that for them. For those who haven't had the opportunity or branched out yet to start traveling, we bring them souvenirs back if they're available to us. Tourists look for comfort, where travelers, we look for connections, whether it be number one, safety, relationships with the locals, because you cannot get more better understanding and more better solid information than you can get from those boots on the ground, the locals that live there. What do I look like going to another place traveling and see a tourist there and ask him what's the best place to get their traditional dish, or what's the best place to shop, you know, get more for your bucks or get some good quality merchandise, than to ask the locals, if that makes sense to you. Not, like I say, I'm not knocking people that travel all the time or are tourists and go to that place, but you still wouldn't have a better understanding than those that lives there. They're just like someone coming to, you know, my hometown, asking me about, you know, living there, or what's the best place to go get this in my hometown. So of course, you know what I'm gonna tell them. The best place and how to do this is go here and go there, because that's where I'm from. I'm boots on the ground. I am from there. So that's how I can look at it in a perspective way. Now, let's be real. You know, the food is where you find the soul of the country. You know what I mean? The food is definitely where you will find the soul of the country. And you can go to a fancy restaurant, but that grandpa or that grandma's in Vietnam, for example, that's selling that pole on the sidewalk, or that abuela making those tamales, that's the real deal. You don't get no more authentic than that, you know. So that's why I say the locals has a better relationship with their culture than someone that's just visiting or touring that place. Now, when you eat at a local place, you're not just saving money, you know, you're tasting generational of culture. Plus locals love it when you're there and you try their dishes, you know, with respect, because they tend to take their culture to heart. Like, you know, as an American, we tend to think that our culture is, you know, one of the best, you know, worldwide. So of course they're going to want to be a little bit more proud about their culture and their traditional dishes. You know, at some places you go, they're offended if you don't accept a sample of it just to try it, you know, before you knock it. So you got to take in consideration that's out of respect, you know. So, you know, when you go to places, even if it's something that you don't enjoy, you know, there's a respectful way to decline their offer, you know, than, you know, being rude and, you know, turning your nose up at their food or whatever they may offer you. You know, just accept it and, you know, try to be a little polite and respectful for it. If it's something you did not like and you didn't enjoy, there's a tactful way to do everything, you know, so keep that in mind. So if you really want to feel the culture, skip those big resorts for at least a few nights. I'm not telling you not to go live on the resorts like you always live on the resorts and you travel to these different resorts. I'm just saying skip the resorts for a couple of nights to allow yourself to go out and see something of a traditional culture of the places that you're traveling to. You would be surprised what goes on in some of those communities and some of those neighborhoods. Not telling you to go to the unsafe parts of the neighborhoods. I'm just saying build a relationship with someone that you can build a bond with, whether it's your host at the Airbnb you're staying at or at the hotel you might, maybe staying at, or maybe at a resort. You get to be familiar with somebody at the resort and they are willing to guide you to something local and you have the opportunity to experience it. I also take advantage of it. It's definitely worth it. Try it, at your Airbnb, try getting it in a local neighborhood, close to a local neighborhood where there's a local, market, mom's and pop market or whatever. Some people even like staying at guest homes. They're being invited to stay at other people's guest home, which I'm not too fond of that. But I won't knock it, until I try, because we have had offers to be hosted at some places. With not saying that we're not going to take the offer or there's no possible way, but that's something you may want to look into. And that also help you get a very real good sense of the community and the people. And they are the best ones to tell you about the best spots. Once again, but always do your homework. Number one, I'm going to keep saying it, and I always say it, always check the reviews for the safety first. Check the neighborhood, check the news, check the bulletin about certain neighborhoods that you may be interested in traveling to. But when you're built a relationship with the locals, they tend to try to tell you the do's and don'ts to try to help keep you safe, because they don't want a bad report about their country. They don't want you to go back and talk bad about that country. They want you to be able to enjoy yourself and have great things to say about their country. So learn the basic greetings to build trust, even if it's just a few words. Be respectful of the neighborhood. Remember that you are a guest in their country, and someone else's home. So treat it as so. So it goes a long way, just being polite and being respectful. Also, another thing I want to talk to you about is like transportation. Transportation says a lot about a place, instead of, maybe you going out all the time. When you get to a place, you rent a car and you just ride around on just the regular streets just to see the local big high-rise building or whatever. Try jumping on a local bus if it's something you're not, too shy of, or, out of curiosity. I'm not saying that they ever take a local bus where it's have 2,000 people sitting in each other's lap, or don't take a motor taxi. I don't take motor taxis, so I wouldn't expect you to take motor taxis, or, jump on the back of a motorbike with somebody else with 10 people on it, so walk to your local market, get in a neighborhood where you can walk to local market and people start seeing you more. Speak to the people, find out a little bit about the history of the place, their neighborhood. You will be surprised how good people feel about when you're trying to understand and know about their culture. You will be surprised. They really like that, and that helps them celebrate their heritage and their culture. But be safe and always keep, be vigilant, with everything you do. But if you're going to take a ride with a taxi or a ride share or whatever, always ask for the price up front, so you won't be surprised, or you'll understand that you're being price gouged. Or if you have someone there that's, I won't say sponsoring you, but hosting you, and they pretty much going to offer to give you rides, or they going to pretty much tell you what the set rate to go to A to B, and they'll pretty much take care of you, help you in that area. So that's why it's very important to build relationships with. That's one of the very important reason to build relationships with the locals. Right? You don't have to be fluent in their language. That's where Google Translator come in. Or they have the new headphones now. You can put the headphones on and translate. I'm actually interested in getting a pair here soon. Or just have your phone up, Google Translate, and translate it in their language, and have it to replay back translate in your language and have it played back in their language so they can understand, and vice versa. They enjoy that. They really looks great upon you and your relationship with the locals if they see that you're interested in learning their language, because a lot of them are very shy about that language barrier. So you can help them feel a little bit more comfortable by sharing that with them, because a lot of them don't understand or know about Google Translate. So that's another key thing that can help you maneuver around. And also, communication is definitely the key in everything you do. For example, like when we went to the DR, my wife and I speak Spanish, but the Dominican Republic speaks a totally different, I want to say, they have a different accent, or they pronounce it, or they use different slang words than regular Mexicanos do. Vice versa, like in Colombia. You will be shocked that a lot of stuff that they said in Colombia as well as the Dominican Republic, my wife didn't understand what they were saying. Neither did I. So you got to take in consideration that you got to start speaking to them and learning how they certain things if you plan on visiting and getting more familiarized with their culture and their understanding. So break out that Google Translator and start, trying to communicate with people. Practice with the locals. Have them to teach you a word a day. And when you see them again, bring that word back up to them. They really enjoy that. Like when I was in, was it in Brazil? Was it Brazil also, and Thailand? I don't speak Thai or Portuguese, but I was trying to learn. And when I see the person again, I say the word that they taught me, they were very amazed. Oh, it's like, okay, good. That's right. That's correct. So it doesn't hurt to be friendly with them, to try to understand and learn their language, but that's one of the most important things you can do also, is be mindful, of their culture, their language, their tradition, their clothing, because in Thailand, Vietnam, they wore what we call the long, the women wore chunkless sandals and like those gi type long Asian colorful long blouses and trousers, everywhere you go, pretty much, everybody wore sandals, chunkless flip-flops and stuff, and you stick out regardless whether you know it or not. If you walking around all the time with like the old people walking around with their gladiator sandals on and their tube socks. Don't let me catch you out there like that. But to each his own, man. They just don't be out there, making them think that you are better. Your culture is a lot better and theirs, is crappy, But just try to, dress, now I'm saying dress down, but just try to, customize yourself. Get customized with their custom and their. I'm not asking you to be out there if they wearing skinny jeans, to be wearing skinny jeans, or they wearing monk outfits to be out there trying to act like a monk or nothing like that. But just be a little bit more respectful and mindful that you are in their country and that's how they dress, because they don't look at like the Western countries. They don't judge people. They walk around, they mind their business. They do. I'm speaking of Asian countries, pretty much. And they don't look at you any type of way. You can be out there wearing Daisy Dukes and you weigh 600 pounds. They're not going to look at you any difference. They're going to just look at you and speak. And if you speak, they'll speak, but they're not going to go out their way to speak first, because they don't know, they don't know your demeanor. Once you show them who you are, how kind you are and respectful, then they would go out their way to treat you with that respect in return. So always, learn about what is considered polite wherever country you go to. Check it out. See, like a lot of Asian countries, they take off their shoes before going to the house. They don't point their fingers in certain cultures. Just disrespectful to point your finger. Man, what else? There's a lot of stuff that I learned out there. Some countries are more conservative than others, are more relaxed. But every place you go deserve their respect. So keep that in mind. So like another place in Thailand. Thailand is very disrespectful and against their religion to touch a Buddha. That's a big no-no there. You don't want to touch your Buddhas. So to save yourself some embarrassment, check that culture, check out what some of their religion is, their religious belief, and some of the do's and don'ts before traveling to these countries, because you can find yourself in a world of trouble. Going to a Buddhist temple or something, and you might be a woman that wears, Daisy Dukes or halty tops and, cut off short shorts and stuff like. They don't allow that. They don't allow that. That's disrespecting. So you want to check into all that stuff before you start traveling, talking about going to visit a temple and going inside, and also supporting local businesses, guys, is very, very paramount to support their local businesses if you're not staying on the resorts. That's what I'm saying. You can't really support the local businesses if you're stuck on the resort all the time, enjoying those $50, $100 pina coladas, when you can be out there getting the same pina colada or even better from the local at a price of $1 or $2 versus $50. I'm not saying to be cheap, but go and support the locals. It really helps. When you travel, your money is your vote, pretty much. That letting them know that, you enjoy their country and you're there to contribute to their economy. You're going to say, well, shit, I'm not here to make them rich or whatever, but you're there visiting a country and they expect you to show a little generosity while you're visiting there. So skip the souvenir shops at the airports. I'm not saying you can't buy them at the airport, souvenirs, especially if they don't have it out in the local community like we did. We couldn't find certain things, but we ended up getting it at the airport. But buying from street vendors, artists, and small stores help the people a lot. It really does. So try to help them as much as possible if you see a mom and pop place on the street. And if they happen to charge you a price and you get a little change back, $2 or $3, 50 cents, whatever, let them keep it, give them a little tip. Some places are not, they don't allow tips to them. I think it was, I want to say Cambodia don't allow tips. I think Thailand don't allow tips. It might've been Thailand that don't allow tips. Philippines, certain places, they don't allow tips because they look at the security watching them all the time. They have securities in every establishment. That's to keep the people from doing any corrupt things or stealing or whatever. Just like in Cambodia, they pat down, like in the Philippines, they pat down their employees before they leave from work. All kind of stuff, man. Even in the restaurants, they pat them down, making sure they ain't stealing no food out of there. It's kind of hard to work in that type of environment, but that's how they do it. That's just how they do it. You gotta, just go along with the flow. And that's part of their culture. That's their life. I wanted to talk to you about, some people talk about when you're traveling, how not to stick out. There's no possible way you cannot, you can blend in. They said, blend in, don't stand out. How can you do that? There's no way. First of all, they're going to know that you are a foreigner. I don't care how you look at it. All I ask you do, don't travel in big groups. That's why I don't do the tourist area like that. We may go see some sites at where tourists hang out at or whatever, but we don't consider ourselves in that group with a group of tourists. And we are not with them. They ask us, no, we're not with them. We are travelers. We are a couple, his and hers, that travels solo dolo, and we're not with a group of people, because if something go wrong, they're going to look at you as part of that group. And I'm not part of no group, especially when it comes to traveling, and, don't be out there screaming and hollering and acting a donkey, because they will put you in that group. Definitely will put you in that group. Try to keep your voice down and enjoy yourself, but do it like you have some type of a sense. Don't act like you just gotta a wild animal out of a cage. And, don't be out there flossing, flashing your money, your valuables like you know, you Don Magic One or whatever it may be, or you got it like that. Like you just a big baller and they poor and pitiful, So just keep it to yourself, keep it at a minimum and enjoy yourself, And another point I want to talk to you guys about is if you out there and you happen to be walking along, somebody's always watching you, whether you know it or not. Don't walk around like you're lost. Dress moderate, modesty, and keep your voice down in public. Don't draw attention to yourself. Move around with confidence. That's what I mean. Move around with confidence. Observe your act. Locals always notice respectful instantly. When they see you being respectful, they always notice that instantly. They can tell. And if you're walking around like you're lost, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. One of the rules of engagement when it comes to walking around like you're lost, I always play it off. You know how when you're about to fall and you play it off like you didn't trip or something like that, or something was in the road that tripped you or whatever, and you tripped over your own feet and you turn around and look like there was something on the ground that tripped you. I kind of do that when we're trying to look for a place and we lost. I'll say, oh, shoot, I don't know where we at. And I'll see a local, shop or something. I'll go sit down and get some water or some coffee or something, or drink. And then we'll started planning out directions that we supposed to be going in before people realize that we're lost. Some people, the first thing they see, they watching you, they're going to come up and ask you, hey, you need help with something? You lost? Or you looking for something? No, I'm looking right where I'm at. I'm here. Come and get me a drink. Just play it off. Just don't give yourself away that you're lost and they already know that you are a foreigner, but just don't help them figure you out. Let them figure you out on their own, but don't help them. Don't give them that reason to figure you out that you're lost. And the best, building real connections, as I have here, is the best part of traveling is like a local, and is the people. And I'm not saying travel like a local. Once again, I'm not saying travel like you poor, or if you poor. Excuse me, because there's a lot of places we go to and we stay at that the locals are living better than we are. They have more money than we do. So you can't always base it on living like a local that's living poor. There's a lot of places that have a lot of money. So it all depends on what area you're in. You can pretty much tell by the streets as well. You can, in the Philippines, security was everywhere. So it's kind of hard to say, oh, they're in a bad area because they got a lot of security. They have security everywhere. But you start seeing what people drive. You have gated communities. Like we stayed in a few places with gated community. You're not going to get in there unless you get cleared. Security cleared that somebody or somebody come in there, whatever. It's just like that. And when I say, living like a local, you got to think about in the States, if someone say you living like a local, okay, living like a local where? Living like a local in Beverly Hills, or living like the local on South Central LA, or living like the local in the hood of Chicago, or living like the hood where? Or living like the locals where? You got to look at that. You can't just base it say you living like a local. What part? I mean, where are they living at? How they're living. So you got to put all those into factor as well, So make friends. I just can't express that. Make friends with your hosts. Make friends with your drivers. Make friends with the local markets. People are selling stuff on the streets. Make friends with people that's from the area. They are professional. They have businesses. They mean you well, especially if you've been there and you've been kind to them. They're going to share a lot of great information with you. They're going to help you out a lot. I know a lot of people are skeptical of traveling because they don't know no one there. They don't know the area. They don't speak the language. But You think the places we've been going to, we knew someone there or we spoke the language? No. It's all about doing your homework and doing smart moves and understanding and doing research and being respectful and getting to know some good contacts wherever you travel to. So those conversations with the people, it definitely would teach you more than any travel book or any person would tell you. So travel more, travel safe, and understand that we are travelers and we're not tourists. No one ever said that to us, but I just was sitting here thinking today, I was like, a lot of people say watching the video earlier talking about tourists in the tourist area or whatever. Travel here in the tourist area, you want to stay in the tourist area or whatever like that. But I look at it and say, I'm traveling everywhere. So I am a traveler, not a tourist. I mean, I go to some tourist area, not knocking it, but I don't stay on the resorts, just amongst that bubble of the resort and not get to see. I didn't come thousands of miles to just be stuck and confined on a camp or somewhere. I want to get out and see what's going on. You know, I want to learn a little bit about the culture. I want to see some of the things that the locals have to offer, not the things that the big money, multi-million-dollar people only have to offer you. I want to see what everyone has to offer me in that country. So travel, do it safe, get out there and enjoy life while you can. You know, we only get one shot at this thing called life, guys. So humble yourself and enjoy life. If you guys got any questions about traveling to certain places, like I said, always, I'm no travel expert. I'm no travel advisor. I'm no travel agent. And I'm out here exploring just like the next person are. So if it's your first time watching me on this channel, guys, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share with friends and family or your foe. And also go over to my main channel, Loving Freedom, and subscribe over there as well. Because periodically I drop different videos on different platforms, and I would hate for you to miss out on some great travel tips or a great video or live that we may be doing while we're traveling. So do me a favor right now before you get out of here. If you didn't do it before you came in the room, when you came in the room, go ahead and hit the like button. That helps a little small channel like mine's get out to more people. And we will see you guys on the next one. Bye now. Peace. One love.
You see me here, you see me there. Been overseas, been through the air. Traveling around the world, that's how I roll.